So that's what we are talking about. My high vibrational individual expressions of God on earth. This is otherworldly stuff. This is beyond the threshold of the average alkebulan because it's based upon the Gnostic text and the understanding of going beyond Christendom. This breaks down the 365. It's crazy. 365 gates, mirrors, and limitations. These gates, these mirrors, they are limitations. They limit your ability to perceive reality. We call these gates, we call these limitations beliefs. And so no matter what the gate, no matter what the limitation is, it is a gate and it is a limitation. That's what makes it like almost impossible. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like this level of awareness, when I got to this level of awareness, this hurts the brain. This really, really hurts your brain. Because what it does is it shows you how whatever you perceive, whatever you identify, you intone or you resonate with. The only way that you can identify with something is if you are the same resonance of something. The only way that you can identify with something is if you are the same resonance of something. So if you can see something, that means that you are something. So if you can see evil, you are evil. If you can see good, you are good. If you can see lust, you are lust. If you can see hate, you are hate. If you can see anything, see, we are supposed to be the observers. We're supposed to be able to establish awareness without engagement. Could you imagine being able to be aware of something but not engage in something? Could you imagine being able to be aware of evil, feel the evil, but yet not engage in the evil? In other words, could you imagine not participating in nothing, just totally being outside of yourself, watching yourself, but not engaging in the self? Now, I know I got to break this down because this is the highest level. This is what the whole space diagnostic identity transformation and removal system is all about. I mean, I never like, when I got to this level of awareness, the thing that was so impactful for me, the thing that really helped me, which I know is going to help you as well, as when you see that life is just all about recognition of reflection. Like, once it took me a long time to get to this level of awareness, to really wrap my brain around it because it's so different, because this is the map of the now. So, like, the Gnostics believe that when you transition, you go to a place where you're already at. So there's no such thing as life and death. There's just such a thing as awareness, recognition. The Gnostic believed in let's use the word art, for lack of a better term. What's another good word? Let's use the word science. Like, what is the art and the science of recognition? And it's very interesting because when you look at the word recognition, what you're seeing is the word RE, which means to return, and cognition. The art and the science of recognition is the neuroscience. It's this ability to tap into cognitive science of how the brain identifies objects and patterns. See, computer science and AI and machine learning, as I talked about yesterday, and organizational psychology and behavioral psychology, and theology and cosmology, and then you sprinkle in biology, these are called recognition by patterns or recognition by components. You're supposed to recognize the patterns and the components, but you are not supposed to be the pattern or be the components. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Could you imagine the ability to recognize without organizing and becoming, just recognize and not allowing it to have a neurological or a psychological impact? Could you imagine? Could you imagine going through life understanding the 5 types of recognition? Could you imagine? Could you imagine being able to recognize using the 5 types of recognition, yet not engage in the, let's use the word participation? It is remarkable when you really, really look at the way by which and how we have been, for lack of a better term, bamboozled by the dominant culture or by religion, because they don't understand organizational psychology from the perspective of how the recognition of something creates the participation of that something. So we participate in it when we resonate with it. Experience shapes identity. Identity shapes perception. Perception then shapes and or creates reality. That's almost that hurts my brain, because I'm sitting here and I'm aware. I have a level of awareness that I'm sitting here and I'm having a conversation. I'm doing a class, but if I can step outside of myself and watch myself being myself, but yet not believing myself, not labeling myself, not limiting myself. But I have to label myself because I'm myself. But the Bible says I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer myself that lives. So there is no self. Going back to the Matrix. Remember the Matrix when the little kid told Neo, don't try to bend the spoon. That's impossible. The goal is to realize that there is no spoon. What? That is beyond. There is no you. Could you imagine living without no identity? Not marrying experience. Let it come and go. Thought. You're not the thought. You have thought. You're not thought. You have experience. You're not experience. Everything that you are owning is a limit. You are unlimited, but you own limit. I know. I'm with you. I'm with you. What? Come on, Doc. Stop playing. I'm with you. I'm with you, dog. I'm with you. You mean to tell me I'm in this world, but I'm not of this world? You mean to tell me I'm not supposed to participate in the lust of the flesh, the pride of life, the cares of this world? Is that what you're telling me, Doc? Absolutely. That's the end game. I know 0 people teaching the end game. What's the outcome? What's the goal? The goal is not to be attached to the road. What? So we are in this world, but we cannot engage. It's like, man, going to the candy store, looking at the candy, touching the candy. Man, you can't eat it. You can't taste it. You can't become one with the candy. So now we have to over and understand this is about, again, reflection. This is about recognition. See, you don't move through it, you tune into it. You don't move through life, you tune into life. I know. This is rough. There are layers of reality. The purpose of the S.P.A.C.E Academy Diagnostic System is to get you to over and understand that you literally are in this world. Absolutely. 100%. You are in it to win it, so to speak. But You don't, and you're not supposed to judge. Judgment is the problem. But as the Bible says, judge not, lest ye be judged. Okay, so now we've got a conundrum. Because the conundrum is, how do we judge not? Because it is this judging that is the issue. Okay, what is the issue? The issue is that you and I have been raised in an environment where we believe and we have been taught that something happens after we transition, not while we are in this world. While you're in this world, you're living life. We have not been taught that your entire life is death. Your life is not a singular moment. Your entire life that you are living is a process of engagement that you must become aware of it. And instead of judging it, you must understand that it is a map that has been described by the Gnostics as the 365 mirrors, the 365 layers, or the 365 gatekeepers. So there are 365 layers of reality that you must experience. Now, I never knew, I was just by the grace and mercy of the big G. When I read the Pistis of Sophia, there's another book called The Gospel of the Gnostics. There's another book called The Gospel of the Ethiopians. There's another book called The Gospel of the Egyptians. There's another book called The Book of Jew, J-E-U, not J-E-W, J-E-U, the Book of J-E-U. All of these books are inside of the Nag Hammadi text. But the granddaddy of them all is the Apocryphon of John. So I wrote my book, The Cosmogrator. It is based upon and understanding the Apocrypha of John. When I read the Apocrypha of John, it destroyed my theology. Then I under and understood the layers of authority standing between the soul, you, and your current reality. So all of the Gnostic texts, they don't depict death the way we do. In the Gnostics, they described it as a passage. They describe it as a journey. Each layer doesn't integrate with the other. So there's 365 degrees. That's where we get the circle. That's where we get the degrees of knowledge. That's where I get my MT33 to M3360. And I was rebranding myself from Master Teacher 33 to Master Teacher 360. And I still may do that because of this level of awareness. Okay, what is the level of awareness? You see, there is nothing from the perspective of the way we've been taught waiting to judge you at the end of you from the perspective of understanding you, meaning there is no external authority deciding your fate. What's happening is you are deciding your fate right now. See, the moment that you are no longer anchored to the physical body, we believe that something happens, some kind of process begins when we transition. And the Gnostics, they don't believe that. All of the Gnostic texts talk about a process that is taking place right now. See, it's interesting because everything that you have been told to prepare you for, quote unquote, life after death may not be preparing you for life after death at all. In fact, if you really, really, really think, my brothers, think, my sisters, this is not about replacing one set of beliefs with another set of beliefs, because it is your set of beliefs that creates the limitations. So let me make sure you understand. Because see, we go from glory to glory to glory to glory. You just go from box to box to box to box. You get out of one box and you get into another box. You are always in a box. In fact, in this reality, the only way that you can be in this reality is if you are in a mentality. That's inside of my book, Saturnalia, from the cross to the cube, and from the cube to the cross. So Saturn has a hexagon, a hexachord, and a hexagram. It is math, music, and language. It is Yabato. So Yabato or Sabato, Samael, you're like in Hellboy, the blind god. Now Samael means blind god. It means ignorant. So when you replace one set of beliefs with another set of beliefs, boo-boo, it's still a belief. So it's all about recognizing a different kind of, let's use the word mechanism. You must get to a level of awareness and perception where you can recognize the mechanisms that is operating this entire unauthorized production that's created by the blind God. The one that's in your Bible. Bible. Who's Bell? The book Bible. Another study, another time. See, it's all about recognizing. It's all about understanding that regardless of the belief, it's still a belief. So the goal is to get out of all of that and operate according to an entirely new mechanism, an entirely new oscillating and vibrating system, a new operating system. One that operates not through reward and punishment, but one that operates through something far more fundamental, far more basic, far more easier to understand. That's why nobody can see it, because it's too simple. Remember, God is all knowing, all power, all simple. We got a problem with that. It's called recognition. Recognition, my brother. Recognition, my sister. That's the power of the big G. See, the significance of recognition lies in the fact that you are already inside of a structure. You're already inside of the matrix. So the same thing that's going on now, going on after you transition, just without a physical body. And what is that? Can you recognize the pattern that you are in? So you stay in the pattern. I said you can recognize the pattern and transcend the pattern by not tuning into the pattern, by not resonating with the pattern, by not being distracted by the pattern, by not being put inside the box. So a prism is nothing but a pattern. See, the real question is not what would happen when you die. That's not the real question. Because whatever happens when you die is already happening while you live. It's all about what? Something that you haven't recognized yet. So what is occurring right now that you don't recognize? Why would you see something when you die that you don't see when you live? See, the thing about S.P.A.C.E and S.P.A.C.E and the Gnostics, it was all about becoming the map, the motivated abilities pattern. It's all about recognizing the pattern that motivates your abilities. It's all about it knowing exactly how the soul moves beyond everything that you and I believe is real. See, long before hell and fire and brimstone and judgment, there was something that existed that wasn't really concerned with morality, but it was concerned with perception. Boom! Shakalaka. Could you imagine living in a frequency, wave, a verb, or vibration that focused not on morality, but instead on perception, on your ability to perceive. Could you imagine living in a world that's based upon perception instead of morality? Or if you high speed, both. It's not. You have to. What if we lived in a world that was based upon perception of morality? See, the early Gnostic text talks about what happens after death, not as a trial, but as a journey through layers. But these are not physical layers, but they are layers of experience. Each layer, it doesn't evaluate you, it reflects you. So the text that was discovered in the Nag Hammadi library describes the structure of reality that extends beyond the visible world. But it's not a place that you travel to. It's a place where you already are at. It's something that you are already participating in right now as we speak. So the early Gnostics, they and they understood something that goes way beyond our ability, because I've never heard it taught. If I hadn't read it myself, and if I hadn't wrote the book on the Cognition, if I had not really sat down and assimilated how Shaklis, Yabato, Beelzebub bathed. The first time I was exposed to the word bathe, B-A-D-E, I didn't understand because it's an old Gnostic text term. And I had a hard time wrapping my brain around, because I was thinking, because again, I'm coming from a biblical worldview. Like most of us, we all have a biblical perspective, a Christian perspective. So it's impossible to establish a new perspective, because the old perspective is so powerful that it overrides. It doesn't allow you to think outside the box, to color outside of the lines. Thankfully, like I told you guys, I was born with a disposition. That's the only reason I'm here. That's why it's so easy for me, though. Not easy. It took me like 60 years to get here. But now that I'm here, the ability to be able to see that recognize or recognition means to return to cognition, and to understand what cognition is, and the fact that we don't have that ability to oscillate and vibrate in cognition. But then I digress, because we got to understand that even that is a limitation. So all labels are limits. So what do? Stop labeling. So what do? Experience. So this is about 360 or 365 layers of experiences. Oh, snap. So are you saying that I'm supposed to have, and again, I can't say I'm some kind of a guru. I just stumbled upon something that I didn't even know what I stumbled upon. I just knew that I had to go out and experience it for myself. So when somebody told me about witches, okay, I went and hung out with some witches. They told me about Wicca. When they told me about a seance, so I went to a seance. When they told me about a blood orgy, so I went to a blood orgy. So everything that I learned, I went and experienced. I don't know why. People told me, man, dude, that's dangerous. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't. But something in me said, you got to experience it. Because at the center of all of the ancient texts is Yabato. Yabato, Samael, Beelzebub, Asmodeus, Leviathan, Belphegor. He got a plethora of different names. Is this powerful being that's blind. But this powerful being is the architect. And I can relate to this powerful being because my name means in the shadow of the powerful being. My name means Bezalel in Hebrew, which means the architect of the material realm. That's Yabato. So Yabato is the architect of the material realm. Remember, the material realm is a adumbration of the spiritual realm. It's a dumbnation. It's a dumbed down. It is a watered down version of the real. It's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. So we're not worshiping source code. We're worshiping a copy of source code. We're not living in the real world. We're living in a copy of the real world. So the architect of the material realm, he declared himself as the only God there. Hey, I'm the only one out here, dog. Because he was blind. Could you imagine? You can't see Jack. So he's like, since I can't see nothing, there is nothing. Bam! That is the average Negro. Since I can't see nothing, there is nothing. That is the devil. That's what we call the devil. Now, you got to follow me. All of this is inside the Nahamadi text, by the way. All of this is inside of the book of coming forth by day and by night, the book of the dead. This is inside of the book Pistis Sophia. This is inside of the book the Gospel of the Ethiopians. This is inside of the Nahamadi text. This is inside of the book of Jubilee. This is inside of the book of Jew, J-E-U. J-E-U, not J-W, J-E-U. Or just read the Nahamadi text by going to sacredtext.com and look this shiznit up for yourself, my brother, my sister. Why? Because once you understand that you are the cause. See, Yardabato could not see far enough. He was limited in his perception, in his awareness, in his consciousness, his ignorance, meaning that he would ignore. That's what we all do. We ignore. So ignorance means to ignore. So this entire cistern is an unauthorized cistern. This entire reality. So this entire, the entire engine that vibrates this system, as it talks about inside the Apocryphon of John, it names 7. That's what the number 7 inside of the Bible means completion. Look at the weeks. 7 is such a very, very important esoteric number because the 7 rulers, again, it's difficult for me to pronounce their names, but the 7 rulers inside the Apocryphal of John, Athoth, that's what we get the word thought from. It's spelled A-T-H-O-T-H. Then Harmas, H-A-R-M-A-S. And then Kali, remember the Kali Yuga? Very similar, K-A-L-I-L-I-A. And then we have Yabel, Y-A-B-E-L. Then we have Adonai. Ooh, that sounds familiar. A-D-O-N-A-I-O-U. Look at the number of vowels that's in that word. A-D-O-N-A-I-O-U. Ooh, come on, preacher. There are no vowels in ancient text, my brother. There are no vowels in ancient text, my sister. Another story for another time. Then the next of the 7 rulers that are underneath Yardabato, or Abrakas, some people call him, is Cain and Abel. Now remember, Cain slew Abel, but there's no mention of Seth. So Seth and the Gnostics are outside of the control of Yardabato. So the only reason I exist outside of the control of the matrix is because I don't fall in line underneath the 7 planetary rulers. That's where we get the 7 rulers from. That's why I know what I know. Because I'm not under the spell. Now, I used to be when I was a reverend, doctor, and a bishop. Like all the other reverend doctors and bishops. No disrespect. So there are levels, my brother. These entities, these frequencies, these waves, these verbs, these vibrations use math, music, and language. The 3 immutable laws to create a hexagon, a hexachord, and a hexagram. But Negro, it is a hex. So a hex keeps your ass vexed. Don't tell me what I told you. So the reason that you feel, because remember, this is all about what? Adrenochrome. This is all about loose, L-O-O-S-E. They need you, boo-boo, to be in a state of loose. They need you to oscillate and vibrate because they feed off your loose. This is a loose form. They feed off your fear, homie. No, I know that's what? Come on, preacher. Come on, Brother Will. It's not that bad, my brother. Oh, boo-boo, I understand. If I hadn't lived it, now remember, I got something that the average Negro don't got. Brother George, I got real life experience, homie. This is not no New Believer show. I didn't read this shit in no Mother Beep book. So I know loose is the emotional energy that is output by humans and humans. So when a human generates a heightened state of fear, doubt, unbelief from conflict and trauma or suffering, boom, shakalaka, boom, they eat. So the more emotionally all over the place you are, the more demons hanging out at your house, bruh. That's why they follow your ass around all day. I mean, not you personally, because you know. Now we gotta over, under, and understand the cistern. This is not. If you're a new believer, you might want to. This is the time to exit stage left. This is the time to go back to watch the cartoons. I mean, not you personally, because you know. So we're all suffering from a lack of experience, which means we suffer from a lack of an identity, which means we suffer from a lack of perception, which means we suffer from a lack of the ability to perceive this reality. Loosh. They feed off your loosh. Whoever they are, we don't know who they are. But whoever they are, man, they eating good, my brother. They eating good, my sister. Do you know anybody that's not emotional? If you get a call from somebody, from some bill collector, if somebody transitions, and I thank God for this level of awareness, because I would not be here, honestly, without it. Because when my daughter died at the age of 19, if I did not have this level of awareness, Brother Federico, I'd be gone, brother. Because grief and shame would have destroyed me. People are still trying to, and she's been, 5 years now. I got family members still trying to figure it the beep out. Brother Mitch, they still trying to figure out, Brother Mitch, how come I have not had a emotional breakdown? They still trying to figure out, Brother Mitch, how this Negro able to continue to oscillate and vibrate on the level where there is no devil. They still wait. They say, oh, he just, the therapist say, well, you're just, postponing the inevitable. You got to process it. Okay, what the does that mean? Why would I want to hang out with fear? Why would I want to hang out with grief? Why would I want to hang out with a low, loose vibration? Why? How much money does that put in my pocket? Does it make me, does it add muscle mass? Can I lose weight? Does it make me a better father? A better husband? Please, what are the benefits of grief, brother? What is the benefits of that? Please, one of you high vibrational mother, please explain to me the benefits of a low vibrational frequency. I'm all ears, brother. You have any therapists talking about, well, you need to experience it, brother. Praise Jesus. You got to go through it, brother. Really? Okay, just tell me the benefits of going through a low vibration. I don't get any twisted. We all go through it. But some people attach to it, or it attaches to you. Boom! Shakalaka. Yeah, that demon, he's attached to you, bro. I mean, not you personally, but you know. Because once you go down there, you stay down there. Once you see them, they see you. It's in all the scary movies. See, it's life is very interesting. You got to be very particular who you listen to. There are different levels of experience. These forces, these frequencies. Y'all remember the Bible where it talks about the God of forces? Have y'all read my book, The God of Forces? If not, you might want to check it out. Because these forces, they shape how experience appears to you. Boom! Let me say that again, slow for the Negroes in the back. These forces shape how the negative habit pattern appears to you, the limitation. Because if it appears to you if you're a Caucasian male, it's going to appear to you different than if you're an African American male. They do studies on the trauma that is experienced by an African American male during a traffic stop versus the trauma or lack thereof that is experienced by a Caucasian male during a traffic stop, a regular traffic stop. This blew me away. Now, granted, I have experience as a cop, which removes all of the fear, doubt, and unbelief. So when I'm driving and I see a cop, I usually speed up. My wife is freaking out. So I usually do the opposite because remember, as I've been saying and will continue to say, the whole space program, everything I'm talking about, what is the objective? As I said yesterday, the day before that, the day before that, the day before that, the day before that, and today, the objective is to do the opposite of the objective in order to reach the objective. Boom, shaka-laka, laka-laka, boom. Let me tell you the secret sauce. Brother Federico, you listening, my brother? Do the opposite. Brother George, you tuning in, my brother? J Money, you listening, J Money? Osama, Brother Osama, you listening, my brother? Do the opposite of the objective in order to achieve the objective. Oh, yeah. I see brains getting shattered right now. I mean, that shatters my brain. So, if you want to make money, do the opposite of making money. If you want to get a girl or a boy, do the opposite of what everybody else is doing to get a girl or a boy. What? See, most people think that you got to put energy into something. Now, I broke all of this down many moons ago. I forgot what I titled that book, but anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. When you put energy into something, you push it away. When you take energy out of something, you draw it toward you. So that means that your energy should never be into some person, place, or thing. Your energy should be into your own selves. Oh, snap. I don't know if you under, and understand. So let me say that again. When you put energy in, it's like fill up your sink with water, then put some dishes into the sink. The level of the water raises because you're putting something into the water and it takes up space. But if you take something out of the water, the level of the water lowers because you're taking something out. So if you're in a relationship with someone, taking energy out, stop focusing on them. Focus on your purpose. This is what I've been saying for years. This is, I told my sons the same thing. You can get any woman you want just by not wanting them. The Bible says the same way. Him that has, more will be given. Him that has not, the little he has is gone. He's going to give it to somebody that already got it. Remember the story of the talents? The guy who buried his money, God took his money and gave it to the guy who spent his money. What? That's how the universe works. So what does that mean, though? That means that if you want a job, don't want the job. What does that mean? Carry yourself like you already got the job. Okay, how do people act who got a job? How do people act that already have a job? Okay, they don't worry about a job. They got clothes that they wear to the job. They got no fear, no concern, and no worry about money because they know they're getting paid every other Friday. So people who have money act different from people who don't. So it didn't say what you order now. Oh. And so So it's different. Sorry about that. So what that mean though? This is very important. Heavenly Father, Pleroma Peru, the one that's outside of the Cosmogrator, the Lord of Lords, touch the mind, will, emotion, imagination, and the intelligence of your people, that they may over, under, and understand that what thus says Source. You have to be the vibrational equivalent of the person, place, or thing that you want to be before it shows up in the physical. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, whatever rich people do, do it. Be it before you have it. Okay, what do they do? What is the mindset? Now, that's the only reason that I went and started out and hung out with very, very wealthy people. I tell you guys, I went to California and hung out with a bunch of black, millionaires. Went out on their yachts and went to their wineries and houses. And right after I came back, Brother Greenwood, I cannot explain to you in the English language, my brother. My whole reality changed. That's why I'm here. That's why I got here, Brother George. That's the whole point of doing this class. Exposure therapy. I'm exposing you now to a frequency that allows you to change your identity. And when you change your identity, you change how you self-identify. When you change how you self-identify, you change how high you fly. When you change how high you fly, now what do we say about what was the class on yesterday? When you change how high you fly, you no longer do what? Settle. All of a sudden, you raise your standards. All of a sudden, you stop acting like minimum wage is enough. All of a sudden, the truth in your life will always reflect the level of the standard that you set for your life. All of a sudden, you're going to stop tolerating weak, toxic, jellyback, lazy, sloppy, unproductive, unengaged frequencies, waves, and vibrations. Because what you accept, that's exactly where you are at. So we live on the level of our awareness. We live on the level of our perception. See, it feels easier to accept what's handed to you. But easy is what keeps you stuck. Easy keeps you stuck. Demand more of yourself. Not of others, yourself. Demand more from yourself. Demand more from the way that you work, from the way that you treat your body, from the way that you spend your time, from the way that you spend your money. Demand more of yourself, not of someone else. Sure, it's going to be hard. Put pressure on yourself. Pressure creates strength. Diamonds are made under pressure. Standards, your own personal standards. Those are the line that separates the average people from the unstoppable people. So raise the bar, raise the standards. Refuse to accept anything beneath your standard. Now, people are not going to like you. Because when you start demanding more of yourself, people are going to think that you're demanding more of them. Because when you don't settle for po critter, that means everybody else around you, they have to level up to be with you. And they don't want to level up. Or they do, but they don't believe that they can achieve that level of awareness. They don't believe that they deserve. So they choose to sell. Guess what? They want you to settle too. And if you don't settle, they get angry. Why? Because now, who do you think you are? You think you better than us, brother? It's not that you think you better. It's just that you are raising by dropping that label that creates that limit. When you choose to identify with minimum wage, you're choosing to operate and vibrate at a higher level. Now, let me drop the smoking gun. We got to wrap this up. But the George got things to do. See, when you're breaking strongholds, when we're breaking strongholds, we're breaking the ideals that something is whatever you say it is, or whatever the Reverend or Doctor or the Bishop say, or whatever King James says it is. So what you're doing is you're breaking the dead definition. It's a dead. It's dead, brother. It's dead. But it's a Canaanite. And it's a Phoenician. It's a definition. It's where we get the word definition. So the definition is a D-E-A-D Phoenician. But we call it a definition. So your words, your terms, they're all based upon definitions. Now, definitions are definitions. So the Bible is the book of life. So you got to trade in the book of death for the book of life. You got to change in your definitions. See, the Phoenicians, they're dead. Now, I gotta let it resonate before we go on. Hooked on phonics did not work for me. That's a true story. I never learned phonics. And I used to always beat myself up because I had to learn by hearing. Hearing someone else say the word, then I could repeat it. Then I read somewhere in the Bible where it says faith cometh by hearing. And so once I was able to over and understood the definitions, and I read this book called The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. And he talked about the death of people's ability to be able to overstand the inversion of the 22 letters of the alphabet that form the basis of the Greek and the Latin alphabet. So the language, the Phoenicians, created what is called a Semitic language. And once we tap into the Phoenicians' kings honored their ancestors by referring to Raphaim or Raphael, R-E-P-H-A-I-N, which means ghost spirit, where we get the Holy Ghost. Let's take it for another time. The dead, it means dead ghost. Phoenicians created the Phoenician language that gave us the Greek and the Latin, which all biblical English Bibles come from Greek and Latin. Latinization is Satanization. Don't tell nobody I told you. So what you have, what I have, what we all have in English, we got English. A-N-G means angel. So Enochen, which is English, and I got this out of my book, Enochen, the language of bent light beings. When you bend light, it creates a fracture, bending it down when light falls. Fallen light is a fallen angle. A fallen angle is a fallen angel. So we speak the language of the fallen angels. Yardbato is the daddy of definitions, etymology, math, music, and language. The three immutable laws of the universe. Thus, the problem. What's the problem? Doc? Grammar, grammaria, and grammatus. Go to dictionary.com, type in the word grammar, and make sure you sit down and read the definition. It means to be bewitched. It means witchcraft. It's a ritual. It's a sign. It's a symbol. It's a logo. It's a rune. It's runic magic. So what are you saying, Doc? There is something called telepathy. Source code doesn't use. Well, let me say, source code has chosen to use the foolishness of math, music, and language to save those who are lost. This is not source code system. This is a fallen entity system called Yabato. Don't tell your preacher though. Brothers and sisters, the entire MT33 author to architect. So you got to go from where you at to where you're supposed to be. The whole system, again, 50% off for everybody who has a Dear Canary report that you purchased from me, regardless of when you purchased it. And again, we can do the 2 payments in order to get you to the space where you can do one thing, and that is recognize all frequencies, waves, vibrations, or titles, their limits, their labels. Regardless of how Reverend Dr. Bishop, those are still titles. Those are still labels. Those are still limits. So the only title, the only label, the only limit that you should have is source. Everything else is all about recognition. It's all about recognition. It's about returning to the returning to the cause. You are supposed to be cognitive. You are supposed to be the cognition. Or, if that's a little rough for you, you're supposed to be connected to. You're supposed to be one with the cognition. Cognition, again, is just the process of acquiring, the process of interpreting, the process of properly storing, the process of encompassing all intellectual, aka spiritual and psychological activities through perception. So cognition is a process, not a destination. You're here on this planet to develop the process. You have to develop the process of interpreting, not joining, not participating, not labeling, not demonizing, not judging. Everything else, you're supposed to be a watcher. You're supposed to be an observer. We should be able to observe without judging. The mental ability of observation. That's the end game. The end game is cognition, because cognition works continuously. It allows you to interpret at a glance without putting a label, without casting judgment, without saying it's evil, without saying it's good, just to simply and continuously observe without interpretation. Observe without assimilation. See, you can have a thought without being the thought. You can have fear without becoming fear. You can have the feeling of hate without becoming hate. Full. Could you imagine having the thought, looking at it, and then letting it go? Have the thought, and then transcend the thought. My brothers, my sisters, that is the beginning. That's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. That's just the beginning of understanding the 365 gatekeepers, the 365 mirrors, the 365 reflections. So you can only experience your reflection. The goal is to show up in the mirror and have no reflection. That's the goal. See, you can only see what you're in tune with. You don't move through it. You tune into it. What happens when you don't tune into it? You don't move through it, and it doesn't move through you. See, you resonated with it. And when you resonate with it, you inhabit it. So everything that's in your life is because you resonated with it. Stop resonating with failure, and you cannot have failure. Stop resonating with poverty, and you cannot have poverty. Stop resonating with hate, you cannot have hate. Stop resonating with confusion, you cannot have confusion. Stop resonating, stop vibrating, stop connecting, and you'll stop inhabiting. Thank you everybody so much for tuning in. This is your boy, that's Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33. We're going to see you at the top. God bless.